Well, my friends, welcome back to Spot On with Link. Lauren, happy hump day, okay? Happy Wednesday. If you're listening to us on SiriusXM, happy Thursday, okay? We're happy to be coming to you on SiriusXM. We have a jam-packed show, okay? We're going to get into some politics. We've got the shutdown going on. Kamala Harris, she's still on her book tour. It will not end. But we have to start with some culture, okay? We have to start by discussing what went down on our last episode on Monday. When I ordered Meghan Markle's products, okay, earnestly, in good faith, you guys know I sat down to try them. I tried the spreads. I thought the strawberry spread was fine. I had some friends come over and try the raspberry spread. They thought that was actually okay too. But the fact that the candle did not have a wick is unacceptable. Okay, the fact that a $64 candle did not have a wick is unacceptable, and it ended up making some news, okay? The Daily Mail and some other websites have done a whole story on where's the wick. Now, I've been asking this about Prince Harry for years. Where's the wick? He seems to be wickless at this point, Prince Harry. He's pretty whipped for his wife, Meghan Markle, and emasculated living at the McMansion in Montecito. But $64 for a candle is unacceptable if it does not come with a wick. Now, like you guys, why is there a hole? Okay, I've spoken to several candle makers the last few days who've reached out to me. Either they poured too much wax and there's a wick down in there, or it was broken off, or it broke off somehow. None of this is adding up to me. So I actually tried to get a refund, but when you go to Meghan Markle's website for her brand As Ever, it says they don't do refunds for the type of products that they sell. So I really got markled, you guys, and we took a screenshot, okay? If you go to the website to even click and report a damaged product, the link is broken. Okay, the link is broken. I can't even report this as a damaged product. So we just tracked down an email. My producer found an email for As Ever. We are going to see what we can do because I'm going to follow this through to the end. It's not about the money for me, okay? The content was worth it, actually. It's almost Shakespearean and comedic and tragic. The way we opened the candle, we're so excited. I was running around the house looking for matches beforehand, texting my producer. We were going to do a whole thing. We opened it. It was like, there's no wick. Okay, like I said, it's a metaphor for Meghan Markle's career. Nothing is lighting, nothing is igniting, and nothing is taking off. And then when you go to the As Ever website, the fact that the link is broken to report a damaged product, that is insane for a woman who is worth millions and millions of dollars. And Meghan Markle, she says she's all about this attention to detail. Clearly she's not, okay? Meghan Markle, she needs to roll up her sleeves, go to that factory, because this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. It's also just disappointing, right? Let's say you're not an influencer like me. Let's say you don't have a platform, you don't have a podcast. You buy a product. Let's say you're actually one of Meghan Markle's, handful of fans. You buy a product and it comes without a wick. And I heard from several people, you can go look at the comments on episode 51, the last episode of this podcast. I heard from several people who said they also got candles without wicks. So obviously this is a problem in manufacturing. The last thing I'll say, some of these candle experts, they thought for a $64 price point, the candle should have come with a cover, right? If you get some nice candles from Diptyque or whatever that store is called, Diptyque, if you get a candle from there, normally it comes with a nice cover. This is a pretty small candle with no cover for $64. And there's no wick. So we will be tracking this down, but we got to move on to some other more important things, which is the fact that, in my opinion, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle crashed Kris Jenner's 70th birthday. Okay, so Kris Jenner, she had this big 70th birthday party at Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos' house. It looked like an Illuminati meeting. It looked like a Diddy freak-off party, okay? Every big celebrity and billionaire like Bill Gates was there, and Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King. Of course, she's got to tag along and be the, perpetual +1 Gayle King and do her diligence. So all of these big celebrities were there. The entire Kardashian clan was there. But then Prince Harry and Meghan Markle showed up at the party. We have some pictures of them at the party we'll put up on the screen. So Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they're taking pictures with Kris Jenner. They're partying. They're having a good time. Where things get kind of dicey and weird, all of the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner, they posted these pictures. And within hours, they had pulled down and deleted all of their pictures with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Now, some folks online are speculating, okay, we have much more important things going on in life, but some folks online are speculating this is about Remembrance Day. This is about the poppies. This is about the fact that Meghan and Harry were partying when they should have been honoring the veterans, right, and honoring the troops and people who made sacrifices. I actually don't think it was that at all. I am a big fan of Occam's razor, which means the simplest explanation is usually the most logical and likely explanation. I think what happened is, if you look at the picture with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle smiling with Kris Jenner, okay, Meghan Markle, she looks bloated. I think Meghan Markle called and said, Kim, Kris, Kylie, Kendall, other K names, I don't like the way I look. I think that's what it's about, because Meghan Markle is so meticulous about her brand, except for the fact that her candles don't have wicks, but she's so meticulous about her image all the time. She thinks of herself as this fashion guru. I think she just didn't like the way she looked in the pictures. I think her legs didn't look good. I think she thought she looked bloated in the pictures, maybe. I think that's probably why she called and said, take it down. But the Kardashians, they've been Markled. Now, some folks say Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, maybe they went to the party and they expected it to be more private. I'm not buying that either. Okay, I'm not buying that either. This whole we want privacy thing, we want to be left alone is a bunch of baloney and BS, okay? You don't go to a Kardashian party expecting privacy, okay? Kim Kardashian, we discovered her on her back, okay? We discovered her on her back in a sex tape. This is a woman who has shown every nook and cranny and crevice of her body and put it out there for public consumption. Okay, Kris Jenner invited her plastic surgeon. Kris Jenner invited her plastic surgeon, Dr. Levine, to the party, okay? These aren't women who are shy, okay? These aren't women who are shy. They have a reality show where they've shown themselves giving birth with their legs up in stirrups. So this narrative that, Meghan Markle thought she was gonna have more privacy at Kris Jenner's party, that's not tracking for me either. But let's get into the plastic surgeon. Okay, now that I'm reminded that Kris Jenner invited her plastic surgeon, she damn well should have invited that plastic surgeon to the party, okay? That man, okay, number one, he's doing the devil's work. But we all know the devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder. Kris Jenner, she was very open about all this plastic surgery she had, which I actually respect a little bit, because I know a lot of you are women who might be in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and you're looking at Kris Jenner, at least she's honest about the fact that she probably spent six figures getting her face done, right? Normal human beings, they don't have plastic surgeons on speed dial and airbrushing and retouching in their photos. So I thought she should invite her plastic surgeon. But I also want to know, how does it feel in there? Like when you have your face pulled that tight, okay? I've never had plastic surgery. When you have your face pulled that tight, is it like, almost putting a fitted sheet on a mattress? Are you real snug in there? Is your hearing kind of muffled? Because Kris Jenner, she's kind of like Demi Moore in that movie, The Substance. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she's using all the powers of her daughter to stay youthful. Like Kris Jenner, she's draining all of these daughters' power and energy and life force to stay young forever. I'm here to tell you, Kris Jenner is going to be around in 200 years with her head in a jar of goo running Hollywood. Okay, that is going to be Kris Jenner. But I want to know, what does that feel like? Like when you're pulled that tight and they just yank and staple, is it painful? Are you kind of like muffled from the outside world? I want to know what that feels like, okay? But I will say, shout out to her for inviting Dr. Levine. If there's one thing Kris Jenner knows, whether it's a plastic surgeon or an attorney, you want to hire like a Levine, a Weinstein, a Rosencrantz, a Goldberg, okay, especially if you're getting an attorney, okay? If you are going into a battle and you don't have a Jewish attorney, you're gonna get screwed over, okay? If I have a lawsuit coming, if I get into any legal battle, you best believe I am coming in with a Goldberg, a Rosencrantz, a Weinstein, a Levine, all of that, okay? Goldstein, that is what I'm coming in with if I'm hiring an attorney. Now, the last thing I wanna talk about as it pertains to this party is the fact that Kris Jenner, many folks online have pointed out she's not showing her arms, okay? And we have pictures of her in gloves, okay? We'll put them up on the screen. She's not showing her arms and her hands. And many women have pointed out that recently, since she had her face done, she's not showing her hands at all. In fact, there's some folks who haven't seen Kris Jenner's hands in weeks, okay? Kris Jenner's hands have been in hiding. We need like an MIA, APV, if you can find Kris Jenner's hands. Apparently, from what I've been, heard from women, your hands show your age. Okay, apparently your hands show your age. So you can get your neck done, you can get your chest done, you can get your face done, your eyes done, your neck, have all this plastic surgery, but they haven't perfected the hand surgery yet. Okay, the Kardashians will discover that, okay? Before the year is up, they'll discover that. But I think that's why Kris Jenner, she's literally wearing gloves everywhere. And if she's not wearing gloves, she's posting pictures with her hands behind her back, like she's doing a perp walk or something. So Kris Jenner, shout out to you and your hidden hands. I actually do want to mention one last thing. Kim Kardashian, Okay, Kim Kardashian showed up to her mom's 70th birthday in this insane, revealing dress. And I do believe, okay, Kim was the favorite daughter. I think there is some mother-daughter animosity in battle going on. Okay, why do you show up to your mom's 70th birthday party with your ass crack out? Also, if the entire world's already seen your ass crack, there's nothing new, there's nothing groundbreaking here. Every teenage boy on earth has seen Kim Kardashian naked and seen her sex tape, okay? So her showing up in this outfit, which I believe was an homage to the film Die Another Day with Halle Berry. I don't know, it was before my time, but I believe it was an homage to that. But this is what the Kardashians do. Kim did this also at Lauren Sanchez's wedding. She showed up to Lauren Sanchez's wedding in Italy, I believe, in Venice. She showed up in like this tattered outfit with her boobs out, and it was like rags and ragged. This is what she does to her girlfriends. This is what she does to her mom. If I'm showing up at my mom's 70th birthday, okay, you best believe I'm not gonna have my ass crack out, okay? I'm not gonna have my back and my ass crack out, but I think these girls are always trying to upstage each other and upstage the mom. But something Kim Kardashian could not upstage was the bar exam. So as you know, Kim Kardashian, she's been trying to become a lawyer. She's tried to become a lawyer for several years now. Kim Kardashian, I think she started her law journey when I was in diapers. Okay, I actually think Kim Kardashian's been trying to become a lawyer since I was in diapers myself. Okay, I feel like we've been hearing about this law journey for a long time. Maybe it's not for her. But Kim Kardashian, she did a video where she is upset with her psychics because they all told her she was going to pass. Let's roll that clip.
I'm just letting you guys know that all of the psychics that we have met with and that we're obsessed with are all full of shit. They all collectively, maybe 4 of them, have told me I was going to pass the bar. So they're all full pathological liars. Don't believe anything they say.
So she's mad that her four psychics who God knows what she's paying them, they told her she was going to pass the bar and sold her a pipe dream. But then we also heard that she allegedly was using ChatGPT to study and do her law, preparation. So you're using ChatGPT. You didn't go to law school, and then you're relying on your psychics. Good for you, sweetheart. Good for you. Something tells me you're not the next My Cousin Vinny. Okay, if I had to choose between Kim Kardashian as my legal representation or My Cousin Vinny, I'm choosing My Cousin Vinny every single day of the week. Something tells me Kim Kardashian is not the one you want going into a legal battle when she allegedly uses ChatGPT and a panel, a round table of psychics to make her decisions. But we gotta pay some bills. After we pay some bills, we will be back with some more hot topics. Okay, you guys need to hear about this. Today's show is brought to you by Oxford Natural, the people behind Optimum Day and Optimum Night. These are all natural supplements, and thousands of Americans are already on them because they actually work. Here's the deal. Optimum Day gives you clean energy, kills those cravings, and helps with weight loss. Optimum Night, that's your reset button. It calms you down, gets you sleeping deep, and you wake up ready to go again. And the results are insane. Michael Owen, the England soccer legend, he's down 40 pounds. Robbie from AFTV dropped over 100. Linda, a top law executive, she's down 50. And Anita, an immigration lawyer, gone 60 pounds. Real people, real results. So if you want in, scan the QR code or hit the link below. And listen, if you use the code SPOT, you get 70% off your first order. Yes, 70% off, so don't wait. Start your transformation right now with Oxford Natural. Let's get to work. Now we're back with a quick political roundup. This government shutdown is still going on. The government shutdown's been going on so long, I'm really tempted to put up my Christmas decorations. Thanksgiving is almost here. I want to say shout out to President Trump, okay? Because if it weren't for President Trump, the troops would not have gotten paid. But I have friends who work for the government. You maybe have friends and family who work for the government. You might work for the government yourself. There are many of you who have gone without a paycheck now, okay? For almost 2 months. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable, okay? And Hakeem Jeffries, one of these little beta males on Capitol Hill, he was asked about the shutdown, and his response was an embarrassment.
Was it the shutdown worth it?
We have waged a battle on behalf of the American people. First of all, Donald Trump and Republicans are the ones who shut the government down. They have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And the American people know it. And that's been the case for 7 consecutive weeks.
But,
How
at the end
confident
of
are
the
you,
day, you
Lloyd?
didn't get what you want. So was it worth waging this fight?
At the end of the day, the fight lives on.
This man is a literal clown. Spare me the buffoonery, the tomfoolery, and the malarkey. Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Cory Booker. These are a bunch of beta males. Okay, these are a bunch of overgrown theater kids who do not care about the American people. They don't care about your well-being. All they care about are political stunts. They would starve out the American people. Okay, they would shut down the country for as long as it takes to throw a little itsy bitsy teeny tiny tantrum for attention. Okay, and I'm glad CNN of all places is actually pressing Hakeem Jeffries saying, what did you do? And he says, we have waged a battle on the behalf of the American. No. Okay, shut the hell up. Okay, we've waged a battle. Well, you waged a battle and you lost. Okay, the government's opening and all you did was put people through hell and stress. And it's because these elites in Washington, D.C., and there are elites on both sides of the aisle, but the Democrats are the one who really wanted the shutdown. These elites in Washington, D.C., they do not care about the forgotten men and women of this country. They don't care about the fact if you can feed your family. They don't care about the airlines. They don't care if the planes go down. They do not care about you. Okay, there was actual footage of some of these elite Democrats going out to parties and lunches and dinners during the Democrat shutdown. Okay. So while moms are trying to put food on the table, while families are stressed saying, is my husband going to get laid off? Is the shutdown going to end anytime soon? While that's going on for real working Americans across the country, these elites in Washington, D.C. were out to lunch laughing all the way. And it's a bunch of performative theatrics. And I say that as a recovering theater kid myself, okay? I love a good stunt, okay? I love some theatrics, but not when it's at the expense of the American people who pay their taxes and love this country. I want to move on to someone else. Okay, Senator John Fetterman, who has been one of the most, strong voices in the Democrat Party for ending this government shutdown. John Fetterman has fought to end this government shutdown since the beginning. Well, he actually went on TV and excoriated his own party. Let's take a look.
I think my party crossed a line of now putting 42 million Americans with their SNAP benefits and making flying less safe and that kinds of chaos and not paying our military. I mean, that was a red line for me that I can't cross as a Democrat. And I think that's been described country over the party. And now that I think that's been the truth throughout it, and it's only wrong.
Thank you, John Fetterman. Thank you so much for speaking up for the American people. Okay, John Fetterman is not one of these folks who is just going to toe the party line and choose party over country. He's going to say, you know what? American people on both sides of the aisle are hurting from this government shutdown. Okay, the economy is not doing great. There are veterans and disabled people who, guess what? They actually need their SNAP benefits. There are millions of Americans abusing the SNAP program, but there are some folks who really do need it and they're not getting their food. Why are they the ones going hungry? Because the Democrats want to keep us all hostage for performance and theatrics. Okay, now I want to play you another clip. CNN did a poll, okay, where they discussed Chuck Schumer's approval rating. Let's take a look.
What about Democrats nationwide feeling about Chuck Schumer? I think the word of the day is terrible, 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 terrible. To quote another Charles Barkley when it comes to Chuck Schumer, look at this. Least popular Dem Senate leader ever. I looked at all of the polls going all the way back since 1985. The one who has the lowest rating among Democrats is in fact Chuck Schumer. Look at this. He's underwater with Democrats. His own party, he's underwater. He's at -4 points. That makes him the least popular guy for a Dem Senate leader going all the way back since the mid-1980s at least.
Chuck Schumer, it is time to retire. Chuck Schumer, you are a joke. You are a clown. You are a beta male. Okay, we're going to put you in our beta male Hall of Fame up there with Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker, who likes to do his little sing-along, sing-songs on the Capitol steps. Kumbaya, my lord. That's the Democrats, okay? The Democrats are like those kids in the show Glee. Remember that show Glee where they would like run and sing and jump and hide, but there was no plot? That's how the Democrats are. Chuck Schumer, you're a freaking joke. Your own party hates you. Your own party hates you, and you thought... Okay, because this is how stupid these people are. They're not actually great political operators. Chuck Schumer thought, okay, I'm going to wage this battle. I'm going to fight Trump and fight the administration to keep the government shut down, and that's going to make me look like this strong, tough, populist warrior. No, it just pissed people off and you look like an idiot. And now your approval rating is underwater. You know it's bad. You know it's bad when CNN is coming for the Democrats and Chuck Schumer and they're saying, you know what, you need to retire and you need to go home. And the last thing I'll say is this on the government shutdown. By the time you listen to this, maybe the shutdown will be over. Thank God, put a rainbow in the sky. We're tired of it. It is time for the folks in Washington, D.C. to get back to working for the American people. Okay, we pay our taxes, we pay our dues, we show up to work. We should have a country that works for us. I'm tired of the games, I'm tired of the charades, I'm tired of people getting into screaming matches and doing sing-alongs, sing-songs, okay? I'm tired of Cory Booker's little 25-hour stunt. I'm tired of it all, okay? The government should be working for us, and if the government's not gonna work for us, then we need to continue firing people, okay? Bring back Doge and let's fire people until the government works. Because in my opinion, you could fire half the people in the federal government, the country might run just a little bit better. Okay, it'd save us money, the country might run a little bit better, but let's end this shutdown and then get back to the drawing board. Okay, let's have a little round table of how we're gonna make life more affordable for the American people. We've got the secure border, that is amazing. We've got the secure border, this is the most prosperous nation on earth. I would rather live in the United States than anywhere else on earth. In fact, I hate leaving the country because I wanna come running back to what we have at home and our own amenities, okay? But I have to say this, these elites in Washington, D.C., you gotta get to work and you gotta work for the American people, and the shutdown was embarrassing. The shutdown was an embarrassment. Now, someone else who's an embarrassment is Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris, this book tour has gone longer than her campaign, okay? This book tour has actually outlasted the government shutdown. That's the one thing I'll give kudos to Kamala Harris for. This book tour is not ending. It's almost dystopian and sci-fi anyway. I think that Kamala Harris is just gonna stay on this book tour till the end of time. But she was doing a little roundtable discussion where she spoke about how she understood the game that was being played and made a decision that she wasn't gonna be played. Let's take a look and then talk.
I was aware of my opponent's strategies, and I wasn't about to fall prey or fall into those traps. And part of his strategy and those around him was to try and take me off our game and message. And I wasn't about to be distracted by those flames that he was trying to throw to get me away from my highest priority, which was talking to people about the economy and their well-being in terms of their financial well-being. And so I understood the game that was being played, and I made a decision that I wasn't going to get played. And
chess, not checkers. Got it.
So Kamala Harris wants us to believe that she was playing three-dimensional chess. Sweetheart, you were barely playing checkers. Okay, Kamala Harris, you weren't playing 3D chess. You were like playing beer pong, okay? From the way you spoke on stage and in interviews during your 107-day calamitous campaign, I think you were just playing beer pong. I think you were, taking shots of vodka down. I don't know what you were doing. You think you outsmarted Donald Trump? Well, he's the one in the White House. You lost every single swing state, the popular vote, the House, the Senate, the Electoral College, the list goes on. You got your ass handed to you. You also blew $2 billion. How do you spend $2 billion in 100 days and still lose an election? Okay, that's a resounding no. That's a resounding no from the American people who didn't want you bird brain bitch. Okay, so you can go continue your little book tour and do your little making the rounds and go on these shows where people gas you up and everyone tells you you're amazing. Of course, Kamala Harris is sitting around with these girls who are just gonna blow smoke up her ass and tell her she's God's gift to this green earth. I'm here to tell you, Kamala Harris will never grace the inside of the White House again, okay? Kamala Harris, the only reason she was even pushed through in the first place years ago was on affirmative action. Let's not forget, okay, during that 2020 election, they were like, we need a black woman. We need a woman of color. It's going to be Val Demings. It's going to be Kamala Harris. They made a list, allegedly, the DNC, and they chose Kamala Harris, okay? And Kamala Harris ended up being an abject failure. So for her to go out there and say that she understood the game that was being played and she made a decision that I wasn't going to get played. I wasn't going to get played, sweetheart. Sweetheart, you blew $2 billion and you lost. It was an utter calamity. But we got to pay some more bills. And after we pay bills, we're going to get into Sydney Sweeney and a little royal roundup. Ever read the label on a typical bag of chips? It's often a science experiment of seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, and mystery ingredients. Masa is part of the growing movement to bring back real food. Masa's chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. Not only do these chips avoid the bad stuff, they taste incredible too. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energetic, with no crash, bloat, or gross sluggish feeling afterwards. You won't find yourself binging and feeling hungry. Personally, my favorite flavor of Masa is the original. If you love Masa, then you'll love Vandy Crisps. Vandy, Masa's sister company, makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips I've ever tasted. My favorite flavor is Smokehouse Barbecue. Ready to give Masa or Vandy a try? Use code LINK for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com, or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. And if you don't feel like ordering online, Masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket, so stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they're gone. Now we have to discuss Sydney Sweeney. You might remember her, okay? She did the American Eagle Gene campaign where she said, I have good genes, or I have great genes, okay? And she got a ton of backlash from these miserable feminist women who want to talk about supporting each other and being a girl boss and lifting each other up, but that doesn't extend to anyone who might happen to be conservative. Okay, Sydney Sweeney, she did not endorse Kamala Harris. There are rumors that she's conservative, she's Republican, she's got some MAGA family members, and because of that, and the way she was smeared by the left, women don't want to support her, okay, even though she's self-made, she's wealthy, she's successful. If she happened to be some, dyed-in-the-wool, blue blood Democrat who, touted the talking points, they would absolutely love her. But Sydney Sweeney, her co-stars are allegedly blaming her for some movie failing or bombing at the box office. She's in some new film, and actress Ruby Rose has called her out. There's a story we have right now in the Daily Mail that Zendaya, her co-star in the show Euphoria, they're allegedly in a bitter feud over their differences and political beliefs. Zendaya is reportedly refusing joint interviews and red carpet photos with Sydney Sweeney while promoting Euphoria. I don't care, Zendaya. I really don't care. Zendaya, you're going to look like the fool. And when are we going to talk about the fact Zendaya's not even that talented? Okay, Zendaya, she's tall, she's skinny, and I believe she's mixed race. Okay, Zendaya is not some incredible actress. Okay, she's not winning Oscars and Academy Awards. I hope she hasn't. Fact check me on that, but I don't think Zendaya is winning Oscars and Academy Awards. I couldn't even tell you one of the movies Zendaya's been in. I've never even seen Euphoria. So who the hell is she to not want to stand next to Sydney Sweeney? But Sydney Sweeney, okay, she was sort of pressured into apologizing recently for her American Eagle ad or explaining herself in a recent interview. Let's take a look at that and then discuss.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
I am Team Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney, come in close, sweetheart. Do not apologize. Do not kowtow. Do not capitulate, okay, to these liberal, miserable, feminist journalists who are sitting at home writing articles, reading 50 Shades of Grey, and they're going to die alone in their walk-up apartments in Bushwick. Do not capitulate to them, Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney, she did an advertisement for Blue Jeans, okay, and the liberals, because they're bored and miserable and they hate everything, they needed something to be outraged about that week, and it happened to be Sydney Sweeney. She's a smart, young, talented, self-made girl. She's a multimillionaire. You're not going to pressure her, okay, into apologizing. She can't be canceled. If she never acts again, okay, if she never does another film, another show, she can live off the interest of the tens of millions of dollars she has made so far and her investment properties. So Sydney Sweeney, do not apologize. And what this moment shows, okay, because I like to zoom out culturally. What this whole Sydney Sweeney debacle shows is that a majority of the country were tired of the woke crap. We went through years under Biden, okay? Years and years where every single ad, okay? Calvin Klein, which used to have hot people and the Wahlbergs, we have to have now in Calvin Klein obese, non-binary, gender-ambiguous people who look at their bodies as biological, experiments, okay? People who are playing science experiment with their own body, they were putting Calvin Klein ads, okay? I almost want to vomit, okay? So we had the woke, non-binary, trans people shoved in our face in Calvin Klein and Nike and all these other brands, and Bud Light had a man in a dress, Dylan Mulvaney, pushing beer, okay? And the free market and capitalism took all of you fools out, okay? All of you liberals who sit around in your little marketing meetings on Madison Avenue in New York City, you're freaking idiots, okay? You overplayed your hand. And middle America said, you know what? We don't want to see fat, non-binary trans people in Calvin Klein ads. We don't want to see a transgender influencer who makes a mockery of women promoting Bud Light, like Dylan Mulvaney, okay? We want Sydney Sweeney, okay? We want a woman who knows she's a woman. Okay, I like my women to be women. I don't like my women to have dicks. Okay, excuse my French. I'm sorry if my mom's Bible study is watching, but I don't want women who are packing down there. Okay, and that's why these feminists are upset. Because Sydney Sweeney, she's a cute girl. She knows she's a girl, and she did an advertisement, and she got a check, and she moved on. But don't apologize, don't back down, and you have to stay in the fight. You can't take your foot off these people's necks, okay? Because of the woke crap that was shoved in our face. That Calvin Klein ad that was vomit-inducing, okay? That was enough to say we have to fight in this battle, okay? And we're in an era now. Okay? We're getting men out of women's sports. The Olympics, they finally said they're not going to allow biological men to compete against women because they found new scientific evidence, allegedly. What was the new scientific evidence? That there are two genders and men are different from women? Good for you guys. Okay, I'm clearly not even the most athletic person, okay? I used to get lapped in PE in high school, okay? They actually used to think I was coming in first because everybody had lapped me. It looked like I was ahead, but I was a whole lap behind. I'm not an athletic person. I can tell you, I don't want men in women's sports. I don't want men in women's locker rooms. I don't want any of the woke crap, okay? So Sydney Sweeney, I love that she sat there, deadpanned in that interview and said, when I have something to say, I'll say it. When I have something I want to talk about, I'll talk about it. She is too rich and too young and too successful to have to bend over and please these liberal journalists. So good for you, Sydney Sweeney. Now it's time for another edition of our Royal Roundup. We got to talk about the real royalty over in the UK. Okay, I've had enough. I've had enough of Meghan Markle and her wickless scandals, okay, and her wickless husband, Prince Harry, the two little hucksters over in Montecito. I want to talk about the real royalty, Catherine and William. There's a new article out in page 6, okay, that discusses how Prince William and Catherine handled her cancer treatment, her cancer diagnosis with their young children. And they talked about this balancing act. And there's not a person out there watching this right now who has not been impacted by cancer. I know there's some of you watching this who are undergoing treatment for cancer right now. I read your comments and I love you. You might be taking care of a loved one who has cancer, a child who has cancer, a parent, a cousin, a brother, a husband, a wife, a spouse. There is not a person on earth who hasn't been impacted by cancer. And so the fact that the royal family is open about this and being so candid, when normally the royals, they're all about the stiff upper lip. We don't talk about personal things. We don't talk about our personal disagreements. The fact that they're opening up and saying, look, we struggled. It was a balancing act with our young children and Catherine being sick and ill and undergoing chemotherapy and all of that. I think that is universal and something that I'm so happy to see because it's going to make the billions of people who, whether they like it or not, we have the royal stuff shoved in our faces, whether we like it or not, people are going to relate to that and say, you know what, I'm going through that too. I'm struggling with my kids too. So I want to read you a little bit from the article. So Prince William described telling Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis about Kate Middleton, Princess Catherine's diagnosis and how it was a balancing act. The Prince of Wales described the challenging process to a Brazilian television host during his Earthshot Prize Awards trip last week. Here's his quote. I think it is very individual and sort of moment dependent as to how you deal with those problems. Now, William and Catherine, they were also candid about everything, the good news and the bad, in order to make the children less anxious. He goes on to say, it is always a balancing act. Every parent knows that. It's how much do I say What do I say? When do I say? There's no manual for being a parent, the future king continued. You've just got to go with it, a bit of instinct. I love that. Okay, I also love that because there are a ton of young parents who look at William and Catherine and say, I'm trying to raise my family too, and I'm dealing with this, and I'm struggling with this. The fact that he says, look, it is tough being a parent. You're figuring it out as you go. It's a balancing act. The fact that he says you've got to go with it, a bit of instinct. And I talk about this with my own mom too. I know a lot of you guys love my mom, okay? And some of you guys met her when she came to the show I did with Meghan Kelly a few weeks ago. I talk about this with my mom all the time. I'm like, do you feel like an adult? Like when you were raising us and we were little and we were going through the airport and going on trips, were you ever nervous because it was just so much to keep track of, and the kids and the flights and the tickets and everything is on you? And she's like, of course you're nervous. You just got to figure it out and go, and you can't think about it. I don't think there's a parent on earth who isn't winging it in some ways and figuring it out as they go, okay? I also think, and I talk about this with my mom as well too, I'm like, do you feel older? Like, do you feel older or do you still feel 25? She's like, no, I actually still feel young. Like, I don't want to leave the party anytime soon. And so I am so happy that Catherine and William are open about this, and that's what's really going to modernize the monarchy. Because Charles and Camilla, they're not the most open about things. They're still sort of the old guard of the royal family. Now we're going to have Catherine and William telling us about cancer, what's going on with their child rearing, their child raising, how they're dealing with this with George, Charlotte, and Louis. And that's what's going to make the monarchy modernized and relatable. Now, the last thing we have to discuss really quickly before we get the hell out of here is someone who's not so relatable. Meghan Markle. She has a little bit of an update, okay? Her holiday celebration special is going to arrive on Netflix on December 3rd. It's called With Love, Meghan Holiday Celebration, okay? And then on the poster, she's setting a little table. I believe she's setting a table for two. My eyesight's not that great. Looks like she's setting a table for two because I guess the kids don't need to eat and they don't have any family left that talks to them. What's funny, the show is about embracing tradition and then finding new traditions. There's no one with more tradition around the holidays than the royal family, okay? The royal Christmases. And Meghan Markle was a part of that. They're the ones who left. They went to go live on the compound in Montecito, and those poor kids, okay, if they're even around, Archie and Lilibet, those poor kids, they don't even know their cousins, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Imagine growing up. Okay, I have this fantasy that someday Meghan and Harry's kids, Archie and Lily, are going to grow up and they're going to be watching the TV and realize, oh my God, we were royalty? What are we doing in California at the farmer's market? We could have been living in a palace and a castle and riding in, gold carriages and horse-drawn carriages and buggies. What the hell are we doing? That's when they're going to turn on you. Okay, those kids are going to turn on Meghan and Harry and be like, well, wait a second. Why are we in California, in traffic on the 405 to the 302 to the 206, however people in California talk? We could have been royalty shutting down roads and high streets and going to get crumpets and scones. I would be so pissed. I actually pray every day. Maybe I'm going to wake up tomorrow like in Freaky Friday and I will actually be a member of the royal family. And with the way Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson are dropping like flies, there might be some titles available. I hear that some titles might be up for grabs, okay? So if anyone in the royal family wants to call me, I'm ready, okay? I've got my tux. I'm ready to come kick back and eat crumpets and scones and be royalty. The one thing I will say is I could not last in the royal family. Apparently, because of the way Buckingham Palace is, they're not allowed to have the lights turned up. You have to keep the lights dimmed at a certain level because of outsiders and tourists and security. That wouldn't work for me. Okay, I need my lighting. I'm like Mariah Carey. Okay, that's one reason I couldn't do the royal family, because I need a lot of lighting. Okay, I need a lot of lighting. I also get food poisoning every time I go to the UK. But I do think I would become friends with all the girls and the maids and the stewardesses or whatever they're called, the ladies who work at the mansion and the palace. I think those would be my girls. And then there's some bitchy gay butlers who were left over from when the queen was there. There's some bitchy gay butlers walking around Buckingham Palace. We would sit around sipping the tea, okay, in my I'm inspirational mug. We'd be sitting around having crumpets and scones and teas and joking about the fact that Meghan Markle is now selling candles with no wicks, okay? But we got to pay one last bill, and then we'll be right back. All right, folks, Beam's cyber sale is now open for early access for my listeners, and it's their best offer of the year, but only for 48 hours. Right now, my listeners get up to 50% off with my code LINK. You can grab Dream for just $32.50. That brings down to only $1.08 per night for the best sleep of your life. In politics, you need energy to stay ahead, but I battled with sleepless nights that left me off balance. Beam's Dream Powder changed the game. Proudly American and backed by science, Dream is packed with ingredients your body actually needs to sleep. Reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and yes, melatonin, but dosed intelligently, not like the drugstore garbage that knocks you out and leaves you groggy. Fall asleep quick, wake up laser sharp. Go to shopbeam.com/link and use code LINK to get up to 50% off during Beam's cyber sale. You can grab Dream for just $32.50, but here's the catch. Dream is only available at this price until it sells out. So seriously, think about it. How much would you pay for a truly great night of sleep? With Beam's cyber price, it's just $1.08 per night. That's shopbeam.com/link. Use code LINK and get up to 50% off during Beam's cyber sale. Well, my friends, that concludes this episode of Spot On with Link. Lauren, I absolutely love you. Wherever you're getting your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify, YouTube, SiriusXM, thank you for giving us a thumbs up, texting your friends, subscribing, leaving us a nice review. I absolutely love you guys, and I'm incredibly grateful that anyone watches. And if you guys want more content, be sure to check out my socials throughout the week and the show's social media, because that's where you can find us on the days we're not dropping new podcasts. But I love you. Please take care of yourselves, and I want to give a shout out again. Okay, to all the moms, the grandmas, and the grandpas who watch. Okay, I see the comments. Okay, we got the young girls watching, but then we got the 60s, 70s, 80s. One woman wrote me, she's in her 90s, and she has not missed an episode of the podcast. So I absolutely love you. Go be safe, be with your loved ones, and if you live alone, I'm thinking of you, so you're not really alone. So I will see you guys back here on the next episode. I'll see you soon. Bye.